Everyone, I've got 6:30, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the September 25th, 2023 meeting of the Merrimack Conservation Commission. It's a busy time of year. I've heard from Ellen, Gage, Andrew, and Dave. They're not going to be able to make it tonight. But we got enough folks to have established quorum and have this meeting. Tom, would you sit in as a voting member in place of Gage? And I don't know if everyone's met Tom. Tom is joined us recently. Danielle was appointed by the town council on the 17th, but I suspect maybe she hasn't got sworn in yet. But we'll add her as the other alternate member, and we'll see her during the next meeting. There are no public hearings scheduled for tonight, so we can move right into new business. The first item under new business is Enterprise Holdings Incorporated, applicant for Helios Investments LLC, which is the owner. It's the review for a recommendation to the planning board regarding a site plan to extend the parking and vehicle storage area for the existing car rental facility. The parcel is located at 302 Continental Boulevard in the R4 residential and aquifer conservation districts. The tax map identification is 2B lot 32. And if you would, before you begin, ma'am, is your green light on?
Yes.
Okay, it is. Would you just say your name and address for the record?
My name is Katie Weiss. I'm with Bedford Design Consultants, on behalf of the owner and that.
You
Oh,
said
she can't
Katie
hear you.
White?
Katie Weiss.
Push your button again. Would you make it?
There we go.
Did it get even greener?
Katie
Yep,
Weiss.
you're good.
Bedford Design Consultants. It
Excellent.
looked like it was on.
It is. It's deceptive. Before you start, Katie, when does this go before the planning board, or has it?
The 3rd.
It goes on October 3rd.
Yes.
Yeah, if you would just tell us about your
Sure.
project.
Yeah, so this is an existing project that we're expanding. This is the Enterprise on Continental Boulevard. It's right next to the Auto Fair, which is right to the left of it. That's on the corner of 101A. So right now the site has 2 different uses on it. You can see that kind of red line. Above that is Auto Fair. They have their vehicles stored there from across the street. So we're not dealing with that part of the site. We're dealing with below that red line, which is for the Enterprise. They rent the spaces in the bottom left corner on the area, and they own the building. So we're proposing to put in, I believe it's 45 new spaces in that purple area. That's the new parking lot expansion. They're also going to be slightly changing the building. Right now they have around the back, you can drive into it where they do the detailing and things. They want to be able to just drive right through and out. So they're going to be putting on the front of the building, they're going to be putting a garage door. So it's really just changing the facade, putting garage door, and we're slightly changing the parking configuration so they can drive straight out. So that's pretty much it for what's being changed. There are 2 wetlands on the site. So if you look at the one on the right that's kind of far away, that was there back in 2015 when we first did the site plan. There's another one, however, that is right above it's green, it's right above the purple area. That's a man-made wetland. That is the sediment forebay that we put in. It was not there when we had the site done in 2015 by the wetland scientist. So that is a man-made wetland. We're not touching it, but there is no setback for the wetland. Let me change the page for you. So you can see here now the parking lot is gray. That's going to be there is gray. What we're doing is in the bottom right and left corner, we're putting in 2 catch basins. They're going to grab the water from the parking area and bring it to here. That is an infiltration basin, and it's going to grab the water, hold it, infiltrate the water quality volume, which is required. And then any excess is going to leave through the outlet structure, and then will be outletted to Continental Boulevard, like the water is now. The same exact process it's doing now. There is, in the area where we're proposing this infiltration pond, a small pond. It's a little tiny pond. It was more there to kind of hold the water back because the numbers weren't working for the post. So it holds a little bit of the water back. So we're just going to put this new pond on top of it. It's going to hold the water, and it should be all set. As part of the original site plan, we had a sediment forebay that ran along the back. Let me show you where that was. So we're removing a portion of that. And what we did is you can see that there's a, right next to the infiltration pond, there's a green kind of circle, oddly shaped. That's going to be the new sediment forebay. It's the same amount of volume. And so we're going to be just moving it over a little bit so that's out of the way so we can put in our parking. Some of the spaces changed, as I mentioned, in front of the building. The handicap space is moving around the side. There's no place to put in the ramps, the accessible ramps, so we moved that. That's pretty much all that's happened. Some of the existing trees are being moved. When we did this project back in 2015, you had different buffer regulations. So there are a few shrubs that were there for that. We're going to move them so they can still be used as a buffer. They'll just be closer to the neighbor that's next door. We did add in 4 large trees and a couple other evergreens. I'll show you those. And then a fence as well. And we're adding in a length of fence as well to help buffer the neighbor. I think that's pretty much it. And we are in the Aquifer Protection District, which is why we're here tonight. So the use, as I said, in the building, nothing's changing. So it's just the addition of having a parking lot.
Who'd like to start? I'll go. I just had and you did provide the pre and post numbers. And some of those stayed the same, but none of them got larger. So that was probably everyone saw that in their packet. My questions were mainly related to snow removal. I mean, one of these prints, I think it was the third overview, showed the snow removal area. Is that all running directly into the?
This one?
Yeah. It does.
Yeah,
it doesn't
so
run
that
into
one
the,
right there will run into the forebay. The one that's up in this corner will run along the side.
It will
yeah.
into the infiltration basin or
Nope,
into?
not into the infiltration basin. It will just dissipate to the side. It does not get treated.
Okay. And so maybe that explains why. Was there any intention to use, salt or?
There's a green snow pro note on the plan.
Oh, there was.
somewhere.
Okay, I didn't see that. I saw
Yes.
the reference to hay.
If
and
not,
thank you
then I
for
will
that.
put it on because we usually put it on all our plans.
Okay. It may have been there, and maybe I just missed it. I saw hay instead of straw. I saw low phosphate fertilizers. We talk, we coach everyone that comes before us. Please test the soil first. If we don't need to use any fertilizer, that's obviously what we'd prefer.
Yep.
As well as the landscaper who's paying for, today's even inflated
Right, and we're
cost of
keeping all
fertilizer.
the existing stuff is staying. So
Can I just ask something?
Yes.
You use a term that I'm not familiar with, forebay.
yes, the sediment forebay. So when you have to treat water, first you have to take out all of the solids and things, so the sand and stuff. So that goes in the sediment forebay.
Okay.
There's different terms for it, and there's different ways that you can
Okay.
do that. So this is the sediment forebay, and it goes before we have the pond.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, if anyone's not familiar with any of the terms, by all means, please
Yep.
speak up. We have an expert here that can explain these. I didn't really have any questions. I mean, the plan was very detailed. It addressed a lot of the things we normally would ask. All right, well, I'll get off the way we usually do this, I'll send an email, that no one here, I'm not hearing any objections, so I'll send an email to the planning board, let them know you came before us and fielded our questions and we had no significant reservations, and I'll make sure I get that off to them. I'll get it off tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Have a good
certainly.
night.
Thank you for coming. Mark, thank you for joining us. If you would just come up and say your name and so forth. And this is the next item on the agenda. This is the Horse Hills Nature Preserve Subcommittee appropriation of funds for a purchase to repair a bridge at Horse Hill Nature Preserve. It's all yours.
Yeah, so, Mark Gagnon, 10 Danforth Road.
Is your green light on? Oh, sorry. Oh,
On now.
you're on now. Thank you.
Okay. Mark Gagnon, live at 10 Danforth Road, which is right across Natticook Road from, Horse Hill. And I'm the chairman of the Horse Hill Subcommittee, have been for 2 or 3 years, I guess, anyway.
Excellent.
Yeah, Ellen asked me to come tonight. Usually she would just bring this forward, but,
We knew this was time sensitive and we didn't want to hold it up, so I appreciate you
yeah,
coming.
we even this past weekend, we had our favorite horse rider break another board on this bridge. And it's getting pretty critical at this point. I've patched it as much as I could. This is the bridge that's over. I call it, it's numbered as L89-1. It's Loop Trail. It's in the far northeast corner, closest to Natticook Road. And it's got twin telephone poles, stringers, which are in fine shape. Those typically are. But it has a mishmash of boards. Some are 2x, some are whatever. They were non-standard dimensional lumber. And we've had a stockpile of materials that we've been pulling from, but it's depleted, it's gone. I really have nothing left. So the proposal is to go ahead and take off. So back up a little bit. So there's more active horse riding going on there now, on the Loop Trail mostly. And it's quite evident that the horse has broken through that bridge in a number of places. Hopefully this person knows what they're doing and not getting injured or injuring the horse, because I'm very concerned. That bridge is not made for horses, and many of them are not made for horses. We have not put a sign up yet as of this point, but I think I will make a sign to put up a sign there, a warning sign. But it's getting pretty critical. So what I want to do is just take all the old wood off and replace it. 2x10s work actually really well because it's a pretty narrow span. You can't use anything smaller than 2x10s because you don't get the strength. But 2x10s all across. We do have some leftover. We use some sheet metal, roll of sheet metal material, like flashing material. That we like to use if we're doing a bridge new over the stringers. We like to put that underneath. Well, this does not have any right now, but I have leftover from a previous project. So we'll take all the old boards off. We'll use all that flashing to put on top of the foam poles, and then re-screw on all new boards all across. Now I'll probably be able to save like 20, 24 maybe boards. I'll be able to save a handful of them that I can use for patching or for other projects, but we're gonna tend to do that all in a new top board.
And you went to Home Depot and got this quote, and everyone should have gotten this in their package.
Yeah, I did. I guessed about $200, and then when I went down there, I found you can get. I was basing it on 12-foot 2x10s, cutting 3 pieces out of them. Turns out the 8-footers are cheaper for a 4-foot piece. So it's actually, let's go figure. But it's because it's harder to get good quality 12-footers. So the 8-footers, and then a couple of boxes of screws. So it came in about $180, and that's really it. We may consider putting down. It's worked really well. We repaired the bridge over by Bowman, which is that one needs major replacement. So we've been layering Band-Aids on it. I ran some 5/4 decking I had left over from my house when I redid my deck. Pressure treated deck boards you run across as a wear layer board. And we ran those all across, and those are holding up really well. I have some left. I may consider putting that on top of the new boards, so that would help give a little more protection from the horse that keeps going over. So to make these last a little bit longer. So we may consider doing that. I have to pull them out of the woods and see what kind of shape they're in, but it's considered like a wear layer. They call it a running plank, a wear layer. And that strategy has worked really well on the Bowman Bridge. And I think I'm ready to do some repairs on the Watson Bridge, and I may do it there too, depending on how much material I have. because the Watson Bridge is having the same problem. Those are larger timbers.
Right.
But I have a handful of those that I can use to replace. So that's what the
And
plan
Horse Hill
there
does
is.
have a unique struggle. I think there is some horse riding still going on at Greater Woods.
Yeah, it was for years. There wasn't. Now again, I don't know if there's a
Yeah.
new neighbor adjacent, but because the horse leaves a messy
Yeah.
trail. Unfortunately, they don't provide the courtesy that I think most dog owners do to pick up
Yeah.
after themselves. But however, that's not what we're here to talk about. But yeah, so evidently that's what's happening. Yeah.
And you've done this before, Mark. What would you do? Would one of you go pick up the lumber, or it was?
So what happens is, you approve it.
Yep.
It gets communicated through Stephanie.
Yeah, and one of you's got a
And
truck.
She goes to, I forget the lady's name in the finance
Mm-hmm.
group, and they call in to Home Depot with the company, the town's
Right.
credit card or debit card, whatever they have. They prepay, and then hopefully somebody lets me know they've done that, because it can take a week or two.
Yeah.
And then once they do that, then I just go down there and pick it up.
I think that's what I was getting at. You have the means to pick it up there.
Oh yeah, I've
Okay.
got a truck. Yeah.
Sometimes we've tried to coordinate, synchronize deliveries.
No, this works. This works the best. If I have time, I might have them even cut it up in pieces for me, but I can do that simply myself. And then it's fairly close to the end of my street as far as the staging area, so I just park my truck there, and me and Paul and whoever else we can get volunteers, we'll just kind of backpack the stuff in. We're hoping to start hauling out some of the old stuff. I know with that bridge, we're constantly repairing it. We're getting quite a pile of old junky stuff. It looks a little messy. I want to start hauling the old stuff out and bring it to the dump too. But we might wait till the winter for that, to put it on a sled and drag it out on a
Slide
sled
it
or
out that
something.
way.
So, but yeah, that's the one that has become the most critical. I think we've kept up on repairs for all the others really so far. Again, short of doing a major project to replace the Bowman Bridge, which I can just keep an eye on. We're doing some repairs on a small bridge in Twister now with material that Paul had laying around his house. So yeah, so we're keeping up with it pretty well.
Excellent. Well, who had anyone have questions? Mark? No. Please make sure if get this bridge done. If you can shoot me a couple pictures of that, I would
Sure.
appreciate it. I'd like to make them part of the town council.
Yeah, I think
presentation.
it might take, well, I'm going away Saturday for 2 weeks for vacation, so unless it's approved and processed through town
Yeah.
and quickly, it won't get done until the middle of
Right.
October.
Would someone like to make a motion?
Like to make a motion to approve the purchase of items to repair a bridge on the Horse Hill Nature Preserve property not to exceed $200.
Second.
Motion by Andy, second. Any further discussion? No, it's the second by Eric, I'm sorry. All those in favor? Okay. Motion passes 5-0. And thanks again, Mark, for
Yep.
coming in
Yep.
and talking about this. What I'll do is I'll start communicating with Stephanie tomorrow and see how quickly we can get this approved. I think we've gotten a little more.
Yeah, I mean, the process works, now that we have a process, it actually works fine, so.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Thank you for
I
taking
think
care of
I'm
that
staying
bridge.
for the other agenda item that Ellen had on about the new trail update.
You know what? If there's no objection, we might as well, I'll pull that item up and we'll handle that next. I don't think an update is really necessary,
Okay.
but the item we're talking about is the Horse Hill Nature Preserve Subcommittee new trail update. It was submitted, I think we vetted this pretty thoroughly last time. You guys had presented a plan for a new trail. And I don't think there were any reservations. I kind of probably could have removed it here, but did anyone have any further questions about that? I think we were all comfortable with your proposal.
I'll give
for
you a
that trail.
quick 2-minute update, because
Sure,
we are,
please.
we are moving forward. I mean, Paul Lavoy on our committee has met with the NUMBA group, has a master trail builder guy that, for the region, and he's met with him a couple of times, and they've been working out there flagging the route of the trail. And Ellen and I and Paul went and walked it with them. It's about half to 3/4 of the way flagged so far, and they were still working kind of on the back end of it. So we walked it to kind of see where they were going with it. It looks fabulous. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful trail. Great addition to that property. I think we're calling it like the North Trail or North Side Trail, but there's like just all kinds of varied forest. It's very dry. There isn't
Yeah.
much wetland stuff to consider at all.
Do you remember, what's the gentleman's name with Nemba?
Chris
Paul-
Goddard is the president of the Southern.
Is that who
chapter.
Paul was working with?
No, I can't remember the gentleman's name. It's someone, he's their trail builder guy
Yeah.
that they put us in touch with. And so they've been very good to work with. And so they're working on the details of trying to get the, the work party together, get it scheduled. We can work right into the winter. It's really not it's like a rake and clearing exercise
Yeah.
for the most part. Not really using much of the old snowmobile trail that's there. They were going to, but as they started mapping it out, they want to stay up on the ridges and a little bit drier.
And Tom already knows this, but in case you don't, NEMBA is the New England Mountain Bike Association.
Yeah.
They've been unbelievably supportive in our efforts every time we've wanted to do a bridge replacement or
Yeah.
trail maintenance or any of these sorts of things.
Yeah, we established a pretty good dialogue
Yeah.
with them when I took over, early last year, and it's been very, very productive. We've done a lot of work with them, and so yeah. So they're moving along. We don't know exactly when we'll kind of have a big work party, but they can mobilize a lot of people, and they have tools, equipment, know-how, and so I'll be working alongside them, for sure.
That's
We're just trying to figure out the best access point. I know that there's a spot up along off Natticook Road that we can access that's pretty close there. I'm sorry, off Amherst Road, I meant to
Amherst
say.
Road.
Right across from, I think it's Riverside. There will be need for one bridge there. So we'll look at, that's not a very large one, but there actually, as we were walking through the woods, on the old snowmobile trail, there's an old bridge there that was built by the Snowmobile Club years ago. That's not gonna be part of the new trail. And we're thinking maybe we can just dismantle that and reuse the material for the new bridge that will be needed, because it's not that far away. So that's something we'll take a look at. But it's gonna be a beautiful trail, and of course, it's not a mountain bike, twisty all trail. It's just a nice rolling trail through along there'll be some nice views, I think, too, overlooks, when the leaves are down. So, yeah, I think there's no trails on that side of the property right now,
No.
so I think it's gonna be a great addition to the property, so.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for that update.
Yep.
Anyone have questions for Mark?
Any other questions, updates? I had mentioned, Ellen, I know you guys want like a regular or annual update from us.
I
Is
just
there
want
anything else
feedback
that you have?
Yeah,
for
and
question?
we just were looking to harvest that feedback from you if you had stuff that especially that you needed our support with, but
Yeah.
we're doing that.
Yeah, no, I think we're in pretty good shape overall, so we could always use more members, though.
Well, thanks for coming, Mark.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, let's finish up the third item under new business. The final item under new business was the MVD request for security improvements around the well at Mitchell Woods. So there's a picture in your packet of the gate. So
Yeah.
I guess there is grant money available. The background on this, I don't think you all saw the background, but there was grant money available to the Merrimack Village District. And what they want to use some of that grant money to do is to replace this gate, which you can see is in need of replacement. And there's also a 16.5-foot chain link fence that is actually around the well itself. It's like it's just a square 16.5-foot box. But because this is part of Mitchell Woods, it's a property controlled by us. They just want to do this the courtesy of allowing us to know that this is gonna go on there, or they'd like this to go on, and just have us, give them the consent to go ahead and push for these grants to do those needed replacements.
So they just need our consent?
They may not even need our consent, but they just out of courtesy, they asked for it, and I think it would be appropriate that we give it to Um, no, I don't see any objections. Okay, I'll go ahead and handle that. Item 2. And that brings us to other business. So on September 14th, the town council did approve our recommendation for a language in our charter, or change to our charter that would add a student representative. It would add it, the way we discussed, it would add it to, it wouldn't be a voting member, but it would be a 1-year term, and it would be added to this commission. And the advantage of doing it that way was, one, we can get the 1-year terms. There was, the state limits our total membership number, so the only other way we could have done it would be to eliminate one of the existing positions. Yeah, we talked about that in the last meeting, and that was approved. And what will happen next, Andy? Paul will draft language, and will that just go to town meeting?
Paul will draft language, I'm assuming, and again, I'm not an expert at this, but I'm assuming we'll do the public hearing process. Then
There
it'll
is.
go to town meeting, then it'll go to ballot. And then assuming it's approved at ballot, then it'll be approved.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Well, we appreciate the town council's
Yeah,
support with
town
that.
council was lockstep with the commission, same opinion on the 2 options, and agreed with what we want to do, so.
Fantastic. Moving on, under other business, New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions annual meeting reminder. So Stephanie put a few things in the packet. It's the 53rd annual meeting. So the way this works, there is I don't know what the deadline is. It's if you register before in the early registration period, which we're in now, and did anyone catch when that ends? No. It saves the town money, which is important. Another important thing it does is some of these classes fill up. So if you go to the and we have a budget for this, so by all means, I've been to them. I mean, it's a good opportunity. They didn't do it for 2 years because of the pandemic, but it's a good opportunity if you can go. It's right at Pembroke High School. If you go on to the website, you can actually you can print. So there's 3 sessions, and during each session they'll do a number of offerings or trainings. Break you into smaller groups. I think it depends on what the topic is. Some of them they can do in a bigger group. Maybe there'll be 50 people in a room and they'll use the auditorium or something. Others where it's maybe they might take you out into the field behind the school or something. Those tend to be smaller ones. But yeah, there are those 3 sessions. The sooner you get on, some of them will fill up. I know, like for that first session, session A, there are 6 choices, but one of them is Conservation Commission Fundamentals. I went to that one. That will be the first one that fills up. But they're done very well. Wetland assessments was another one. I would encourage you, if there was, if a few of you want to go to this, maybe you collaborate and go to different sessions. I know the second session B had Fundamentals 202, working with other boards and commissions in the municipality. It also had one on invasive species control and forest management. I thought you when I read that one. The third one, and some of these were ones I went to. I definitely went to that Conservation Commission Fundamentals. But the last one had know your resources, which ironically is facilitated by Jeff Littleton for Moosewood Ecological, and he's the one that put together that document you were looking through. So he's a pretty solid facilitator. Very interesting. We've done some vernal pool walks in town with him, different things that the commission's funded him to do. But anyway, I do encourage you to look at the website if you think you're available for that. The sign up process is just register and let Stephanie know you've registered, and she can go on with I think it comes from Fund 51, right? Do you know? It's not our normal fund, it's the other one.
October 28th is the early
Is
bird
it?
registration.
And you've been to several of these, right?
I've been to one.
You've been to one?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you do make sure you sign up early because I did not get Conservation Commission
Fundamentals?
fundamentals, so I was totally lost.
Mhm.
But you know, I got conservation easement one, which was really useful.
Mm.
I don't even remember the other two, but and you get access to like all the packets too, so I download them all and I have
Yeah.
them on a master file.
Even the lunch is a good opportunity because you'll sit there in the cafeteria and you'll meet,
Yeah.
it's well attended. I don't know. I think at the event I went to probably it had 300 or 400 people at it, and you get to collaborate with people from other conservation commissions.
Yeah, I had a lunch with the Londonderry Conservation Commission, so it's like really informative.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this is the first time looking at this, and Keynote by David Carroll. Actually, I know that guy.
Do you?
Yeah, he's is he an artist? I think he's just a writer, but he writes. He lives in Francistown or something like that, and he's a nature writer, sort of like half poetry, half prose type writer. Yeah, I did stuff with him in college.
Huh.
MacArthur Genius Grant guy. I don't know what that really means, but that some people said he was smart and so they gave him a bunch of money. But yeah, so I've actually read his stuff, so just interesting thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. If I know you can't go.
Yeah.
But if you can go and you're interested in going, if you're blocked out of classes or you need, it sounds like Eric. I think you've attended more recently than me, but if you need help on, or want a suggestion, which class sounds better or which breakout session, by all means, don't be bashful. Ask.
It's interesting, Eric, when you said he was a writer. What you said is he's just a writer.
I wondered.
Well, no, because I was trying to think if he's both a writer and an artist, or
the English teacher's going to take exception to that, huh? Shots fired.
But I thought he was both a writer and an artist. And he does sketches in his books, but not really art, not like detailed illustrations. But anyways, yeah. Did not mean to offend writers. I write as well.
Yeah.
All right. The last item, memorial bench. This was something Andrew asked me to put this on the agenda. I put it on the agenda, then we realized he wasn't going to be at this meeting. So I think we'll table that item. I guess we need a motion to table that and revisit it at the next meeting.
Move to table the memorial bench placement at Wildcat Falls until our meeting on
October 8th.
October 8th.
October 9th.
Friendly amendment, October 9th.
Well, that's Columbus Day. Do we
Mhm.
we still have meetings?
Mhm.
Okay.
Motion by Andy,
Second.
second by Tom. Probably no discussion needed. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Which brings us to the approval of the minutes for the September 11th meeting. Start us with a motion.
How do I say it?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I still don't know. Motion to approve the minutes with changes as followed, or is that?
Yeah, works. Motion by Eric. I'll second it. I looked through them. I didn't see any changes. I had none. Did anyone have changes or amendments to these? It's pretty straightforward. It was a 25-minute meeting. All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes? Motion carries 5-0. Anyone like to make a final motion? Motion by Andy, second by Eric. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.